Welcome. So glad you're here. I'm here with Eric, and we just had an hour-long conversations about Perses. Eric, will you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, hello, my name's Eric Deschabelle. I work for Kronosphere. I'm the Director of Evangelism. I run the technical marketing on one side and the developer advocates on the other.
And my name's Whitney Lee, and I'm a CNCF ambassador. We'll just leave it at that.
Me too.
So we had this long conversation about Perses that was really wonderful. And if you want to see the whole conversation, we're going to link to it in the description of the video. So please check that out if you want, or just hang with us while we recap everything we discussed during that conversation. So Eric, to get started, you gave me a nice definition of what Perses is. Will you restate that definition, please?
Yeah, that we're busy with an exploration and defining an open standard for dashboarding and visualization within the observability space.
So one thing, when I'm forming a mental model, I think, I love having the tech name, then the verb is, and then a noun for a concrete thing that it is. Like it's a standard, it's a piece of software, it's a collection of tools that can be installed as one binary. I've yet to have a project say to me, the noun that it is an exploration. What does it mean that it's an exploration?
It's got a lot to do with the roots of the project being dashboarding and visualization project within the CNCF landscape, which is pretty much an observability landscape. So kind of shocking that they don't have a generalized tool for that. That was what they were looking to do, was to make a dashboard definition, like a standardization around that. So you can do dashboard as a code and GitOps and all these lovely scalable Kubernetes kind of environmental things we'd like to do.
So it's an exploration. It has a goal of being a dashboard as code standard and reference implementation, correct?
But we have to be very careful that we're not like inventing new terminology and stuff. So dashboard as a code sounds really sexy, but I don't want to have to memorize this one at my next test, you know?
So to give us some context in terms of where Perses fits in to the observability landscape, we drew like a very simple diagram of what an observability solution might look like. Will you go through that with me? Where does it start?
Sure. So what we talked about was like on your front side, you're deploying applications or services or whatever's out there running that you're trying to observe, to collect your telemetry data from. In this case, we were focusing quite heavily on like the CNCF landscape, so open source more than anything else. One of the front end ideas that a lot of people are busy with is this accepted standard, or they're definitely working very hard to make it a standard, the Open Telemetry Protocol, so OTLP. So collectors on the front end that are gathering metrics, logs, traces, that kind of stuff. Putting that into the backends, and different kinds of telemetry data have different kind of target backends. And in this case, we were talking about tracing ending up in the Jaeger backend, metrics ending up in the Prometheus backend, and logs being stored wherever you happen to enjoy storing your logs. We mentioned FluentBit being how we process and work on those. And then Perses is the ability to currently extensively query using Prom query language, PromQL, to query your metrics within the Prometheus backend. There's also the ability to currently, thanks to a donation from one part of the project, people that are working on it in an organization, to contribute back code to the open source project for tracing visualizations. But it's very specific with one specific kind of query language, and that's Grafana QL.
So our application is instrumented somehow or as outputting telemetry data. Something's collecting that telemetry data. A lot of standardization has happened in the space. All the data might be transformed. It's probably using some of the standards that have been put out there already. It's going to storage, and there's a lot that's happened here too. But there hasn't been any standardization about how it gets visualized at these later steps. And that's where Perses is really filling in the void.
Strength in the standardization is that then you have the ability to automate, right? And we talked about that with the dashboards as a code, the GitOps, that kind of stuff, CI/CDs. They provide an API, backend command line tooling per CLI. We joked about in the episode. And all this kind of stuff means that I can now, do things and validate what I've designed as a dashboard before it goes out there, testing stuff before it goes out there, automating how it goes out there, where I want it, how many of them I want, that kind of stuff.
So not only is it filling the dashboard void in the CNCF landscape, but this dashboard as code has, when you can declaratively define how your dashboard should look or how pieces of your dashboard should look, then that opens up a world of benefits. So you just rattled off a bunch. I like the testing and validation. That's something we didn't write on the board. Actually, I'll write it on the board now during the recap.
And to be really honest, like when I was designing the workshop, that was something I leaned on heavily when it was not a heavy UI workshop at the time. So you could just keep checking it in your command line tool and it would validate whether I'd messed it up or not with the wrong space, because we're talking about JSON, YAML, it's a lot of fun.
So automation, less people, less mistakes, testing and validation. One thing I really love is the idea that you could use your dashboard along with other CNCF tools. We talk about how it might fit in with, say, GitOps or CI/CD.
Yeah, I think being able to have a workflow in your organization where things are generated, things are tested, things are properly validated before they are rolled out is what we all dreamed about, right? And that's the whole CI/CD thing. And being able to manage your stuff as code, that's GitOps, right? So any changes that are made there are then run through these tests and these test pipelines and then sent off to wherever they're supposed to be in the next stage and the next stage and more testing and eventually into production, and we never have downtime, right? So why wouldn't dashboards be part of that? Why would those be some tool on the side? You know what I mean? It's even vendors are talking about it. It's a neat thing.
Do you feel like we covered everything in this recap? Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I want to thank you for having me. This is fantastic. The more PR, the better. The more people come help, and it's really fun. Nice group of people. Come on over.
Awesome. And thank you so much for sharing your time and your expertise with us today. I appreciate you. Bye.
Ready.